心有佛法，天地就宽，有自己将祈福周全，相继他人心，会有大福，善人一定能结善缘。
When Nate Diaz stepped into the cage to face Conor McGregor, the Vegas oddsmakers had Diaz as a 4-1 underdog.
Trying to finish with a submission. You just shook up the world. How's that feel? Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
It's a bitter pill to swallow. It was simply a battle of energy in there, and he got the better of that. So
9 days out from the fight, I started eating 2 steaks a day, and it just came back to bite me on the ass, you know.
This was the greatest upset in UFC history, and it turned out Nate wasn't the only plant-based fighter out there.
I stopped eating meat probably like around the end of 2012. I grew up not even knowing about half of these other vegetables. Asparagus to me just came out like 5 years ago. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, as a kid, I was like, asparagus, we never see that. I'm like, what's that?
Bryant Jennings is a heavyweight title contender, best known for going the distance with Vladimir Klitschko, one of the greatest boxing champions of all time.
My early years growing up in Philly, the only thing we knew was spinach in a can, collard greens, and Popeyes, KFC, made by frying chicken. Most people say, oh, where do you get your protein? As if everybody else in KFC is looking at the back of a bucket, like, yeah, how much protein is, y'all don't know. So y'all really don't know what y'all eating.
I'd never really thought about it like that before. What else was in the food I was eating? An experiment to help answer that question was being conducted by Dr. Robert Vogel, co-chair of the NFL Subcommittee on Cardiovascular Health.
What you eat immediately before an athletic endeavor really can have major impact on how you perform. There's a direct correlation between a meal and endothelial function. The endothelium is the lining of blood vessels. It regulates blood flow throughout the body. It knows that a particular muscle group or organ needs more blood flow, and it dilates, it opens up. When the endothelium is impaired, it cannot open up. It cannot allow blood flow to increase as much, and therefore impairs athletic performance.
The test subjects were 3 football players from the Miami Dolphins, defensive back Michael Thomas, and wide receivers Griff Whalen and Kenny Stills.
Today we're going to be feeding them 3 burrito breakfasts with a lot of protein. 2 of them have sources of animal-based protein and fat. One is from beef, one is from chicken. Third is a plant-based burrito which has beans in it, so the protein and the fat came from a plant-based source. Tomorrow we're going to feed them all bean burritos. We're looking at the impact of eating a different meal on the same people. Right? Here's beef. Chicken here.
Griff has been plant-based for 4 years, so he got bean burritos on both days.
On away games, we always eat fried chicken, we eat Popeyes. I love fried chicken, I love Popeyes, and I'm going to eat Popeyes every time.
2 hours after each meal, the players had their blood drawn and put into a centrifuge. The red blood cells sink to the bottom. An amber-colored fluid called plasma rises to the top. If the plasma is see-through, it means there's not much fat in the blood, and the endothelium is likely functioning well.
Michael, today's blood and yesterday's blood. This is a plant burrito. This is a meat burrito. Look at the difference it makes in what circulates in your bloodstream. Cloudy? Cloudy. And that on top is the fat circulating in your blood from a meat burrito. Chris, you're the vegan. Here's your blood from today and your blood from yesterday. Nice and clear, both of them.
So the fat from the avocado doesn't have that kind of effect.
That's right. Kenny, you're the fried chicken guy. You want to see your chicken? There it is.
Yeah, it's pretty gross to see.
Sources of animal-based protein and fat have a tremendous impact on endothelial function. That lasts for 6 or 7 hours after you eat. So if you have bacon and eggs for breakfast, a hamburger for lunch, and a steak for dinner, this is going on all day long. Your blood is always cloudy, and the ability to operate at your best is always impaired.
Yeah. I guess I won't be eating much fried chicken no more.
Dr. Vogel's experiment is backed by numerous studies measuring how a single animal-based meal can impair blood flow. I also found a large body of research showing that plants have the opposite effect, improving endothelial function and increasing blood flow. Controlled studies show that simply drinking beet juice before training allows subjects to cycle 22% longer and bench press 19% more total weight.
I've seen races where it has come down to the 1,000th of a second. Sometimes you have to do things that you know your competitors aren't doing, getting every single advantage you can.
Knowing I could get enough energy and protein is one thing, but seeing what a single animal-based meal could do to an athlete's blood sealed the deal. It was time to give this plant-based thing a try, but there was only one meat-free meal I could think of.
Hi, what can I get for you today?
Can I get 2 bean burritos, please?
Beans or beef?
Beans.
All right, I'll see you at the window, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
When I was plant-based, I thought that it would be a longer transition, but I just immediately started feeling like I could go kick ass and not need the recovery in between. It was mind-blowing to my teammates. They were tired of me saying, like, let's go again and again. Recovery is the most essential element of an elite athlete's existence. It's damage repair, and you do that over and over again. Because if you can do more work and more repair, you're going to be a better athlete.
Doxy was right. Bouncing back quickly between workouts is a huge advantage for any athlete. But the idea that food could be the secret weapon, I had to find out more. Dr. Top Stoll is a former Olympian and a team physician for the USA Olympic team.
I work with professional athletes that are very interested in protein. Protein's important, but which package is your protein coming in? It's a better question to answer. The plant-based protein versus the animal protein, which package is going to help the body overcome inflammation and help the body to recover? In animal products, you're getting protein packaged with inflammatory molecules like new 5-GC, endotoxins, and heme iron. When we consume animal products, it also changes the microbiome, the bacteria that live in our gut. And the bacterial species that have been shown to promote inflammation overgrow and begin to produce inflammatory mediators like TMAO.
The study that shows that a single hamburger impairs blood flow also shows that it can increase measures of inflammation by 70%. In the arteries, inflammation reduces blood flow. In muscles and joints, it can increase soreness and delay recovery.
In plant-based protein, you're getting protein that's packaged with antioxidants, phytochemicals, minerals, and vitamins that are going to reduce inflammation, optimize the microbiome, optimize blood supply, and optimize your body's performance.
The antioxidants Dr. Stoll was talking about are found almost entirely in plants, which have, on average, 64 times the antioxidant content of animal foods. Even iceberg lettuce has more antioxidants than salmon or eggs. As a result, switching to a plant-based diet can help reduce measures of inflammation by 29% in just 3 weeks.
I was about ready to retire, as I should have been, because I'm like 35 at that time, but I just kept getting better, and so they had to pick me to the Olympics. We were complete underdogs as Team USA in our semifinal ride against Australia. We were down by 1.7 seconds. No one's ever come back in team pursuit from a deficit that large. And we beat them on the line by 8/100ths of a second. I was 39 and a half years old when I stood on the Olympic stage. I'm still the oldest person, male or female, to even go to the Olympic Games in my event. My diet was the most powerful aspect to me being able to perform and produce for the U.S. team at the Olympic Games.
All of these athletes and their stories were impressive, but my goal from the beginning was to recover from actual injuries, like the damage I'd done to my knees.
In the arms of Derek Morgan.
Derek Morgan had been on a similar journey.
In the NFL, the injury rate is 100%. It's a violent game.
Martin goes down there.
And so how you respond to injury and how quickly you heal from injury is important. Because if you're not on the field, you're not helping the team. I was reading the research and seeing that a plant-based diet would be beneficial specifically for recovery. And so I started incorporating it and I started seeing really good results with it. I was recovering better. I wasn't getting as sore. I was a lot less swollen. Basically, to confirm what I was feeling, I got my blood tested 6 months after being on the diet. All of my markers were down, my blood pressure, my cholesterol. But the main thing I was looking at was the inflammation marker in your blood, and mine was almost obsolete. It wasn't there anymore.
A whole food plant-based diet is going to optimize the growth of blood vessels into damaged tissue. It's going to lay down new tissue in tendons and muscles. It's going to stimulate their immune system to fight off infections. So almost at every level, eating the right food is going to accelerate the healing process.
6 weeks into my personal plant-based experiment, I went to the gym to see if I could notice a difference. I wasn't able to spar or wrestle yet, so I decided to hit the batting ropes. At my gym, lasting 10 minutes on the ropes gets your name on the wall. Only a few people had ever hit 20 minutes. Even at the peak of my conditioning, the most I'd ever got was 8 minutes.
Jeez, keep it going.
But on this day, I hit 10 minutes, easy. Then I hit 20, 30.
You're at 45 minutes.
I thought, holy shit, I'm going to do an hour. I went past the hour mark by about 1 minute and just thought, alright, that'll do.
I can't believe you just did that, man.
The only thing that had changed was my diet.
Just become. Yeah. Freaking hour.
When I was growing up, the toughest guy in the world to me was my dad. He taught me the value of self-defense and was always there to help me when I got into trouble. But now, he was the one who needed help.
So you had a heart attack?
Correct.
Had you had much in the way of symptoms prior to this episode?
No, never before.
After my dad got out of the hospital following emergency heart surgery, we got on a Skype call with Dr. Colville Esselstyn, an internationally renowned heart disease researcher from the Cleveland Clinic.
Within 1936. So somewhat of a surprise. Well, no, not a surprise. In all of Western civilization, there is nothing more common than coronary artery heart disease. And that is because of the foods that most people eat every day. Do you happen to recall into which of your arteries did they place the stent? Was it into the left anterior descending or the right?
After seeing how much a single animal-based meal can affect healthy young athletes, I couldn't help but wonder what a lifetime of these foods might have done to my father's heart.
In all of our studies, we found the same thing. These same biological mechanisms that affect performance also affect our health. Chronic inflammation, oxidative stress, and endothelial function.
When you eat
animal products, you start to form plaques in the coronary arteries. Plaque formation in the artery doesn't just limit the function of the arteries, it can also block the blood flow, and that's when the heart starts to have some real problems keeping up with the demands of the body.
In terms of heart disease, oftentimes there's confusion. People think that, well, I don't eat red meat, I'm okay. We know that it's more complicated than that. It's not just red meat. It's not just the fat.
For nearly 50 years, we were told that the primary cause of heart disease was saturated fat and cholesterol, and that leaner meat, lower fat dairy products, and egg whites were the solution. But the research now shows that the other inflammatory compounds in animal foods, like those that can impair athletic recovery, also play a significant role in the development of heart disease.
We're going to do a whole lot better by just getting rid of the animal products. And there are really good biochemical reasons for that. Heme iron is one of them, for example.
Heme iron is from an animal source, right? So most commonly you think red meat, poultry have it, fish have it. We did a meta-analysis looking over 6 prospective dietary studies, over 130,000 patients, and they came to the conclusion that 1 milligram a day of heme iron is associated with a 27% increasing risk of coronary heart disease. To put that in perspective, an average hamburger patty has about 2 to 3 milligrams.
And it isn't just the iron in animal foods that can cause problems. It's actually the animal protein itself.
It's not just red meat, not just chicken, not just eggs, not just milk. It's the ingestion of any animal protein. At that moment in time, a process begins at a chemical level inside the body.
When the protein found in animal foods is cooked, preserved, or even just digested by our gut bacteria, highly inflammatory compounds are formed that corrode our cardiovascular system. This helps explain why people who get all of their protein from plants reduce their risk of heart disease by 55%. It would also help explain why the only diet that has ever been shown to actually reverse heart disease is a plant-based one.
What we found is that in the first month, there was improvement in blood flow, and the heart began to pump blood more normally. After a year, even severely clogged coronary arteries became measurably less clogged, and even more improvement after 5 years. But in the randomized control group, who were doing just what their doctors told them to do at the time, less red meat, more fish and chicken, low exercise, and so on, their arteries got more clogged after 1 year, and even more clogged after 5 years.
While all of this sounded promising, my dad didn't just need to get better, he needed to get better fast. The stents in his heart were only a temporary solution. He could have another heart attack at any moment. I found some hope at a firehouse in Brooklyn, where Dr. Esselstyn's son, Rip, a former firefighter and professional triathlete, was launching some of New York's bravest on a powerful new program.
What's the #1 killer of firefighters in the line of duty? Heart attacks. 67% of firefighters who perish in the line of duty die of heart attacks. So this right here, that is what we call a healthy artery. The blood can flow through this huge opening here, and this is what happens after decades on the meat and dairy diet. Okay? If you guys have been eating this way, I want you to take the 7-day rescue challenge. We've taught you guys plant-based groceries. I want you to give yourselves a chance to see what your internal biochemistry does in just 7 days.
I feel elevated. My LDL always very high. The same job that I was doing 10 years ago without a network.
Despite working out all week, playing sports, my cholesterol's high and growing by about 10-15 points every year for the last 5 or 6 years. I do like a couple salads a week. It doesn't really cut it.
That's good. So hopefully I'll feel better, have more energy, and add some years to my life.
I went to see if I could get my dad to make these same changes to his diet as soon as possible.
Well, what do you say?
So let's go shopping.
Tomatoes, cucumber, we have hummus dip.
But my dad can be a little stubborn.
Soy yogurt, and that's about it, I think.
So I wasn't feeling that hopeful.
Listen to.
I come from a town called Melton Mowbray, known in England as the rural capital of food. It's the home of Stilton cheese and the world-famous Melton Mowbray pork pie. The pace of change here is very slow. And my dad, like most of us, is a product of where he grew up. I just couldn't imagine being as set in his ways as my father, making such a big switch. Until I got home and went back to the gym. I spent years working out with Lucius Smith. He was a cornerback in the NFL, had a black belt in jiu-jitsu, with my strength and conditioning coach. I told Lou about the research I'd been doing and what happened to my dad. And he's never mentioned this before, and he said, I've been on plant-based diet for almost 10 years. Lou is 60 years old, not far off my father's age.
Most guys my age can keep up with the grandchildren. My grandchildren can't keep up with me. When I went from an animal-based diet to plant-based diet, my blood pressure went down to like 110 over 70. My heart rate sometimes has been under 50, like 48, 47. I'm more focused, I'm more relaxed, and I noticed that I have a lot more energy because of the plant-based diet.
Come on, man, come on.
People in their 20s, they come in here. We do a workout. I sustain the workout a lot easier than they do. We can come in here and do 800. Listen to what I just said. 800 kettlebell swings and snatches in one workout. They can't make it. I'm not kidding you. They can't hang, man, I'm telling you. They can't hang.
有佛法经的救活，有时即将一不周全，将其下一心，会有啥因果？善人一定能结善缘。